I'm back. Greetings, everyone. For those of you who are still here, if any of you are still here, I am back after pretty much a hiatus of the entire summer. I put up a few tarot videos, but other than that, I haven't put much of anything up. Those of you who have been following know that we had a really eventful, I should say, summer so far. My husband had his knee replacement surgery the beginning of May, and that went really well, but as a result of the blood thinners he was giving, he had a big crash and a health crisis pretty much, and a lot of internal bleeding, which led to hospitalization and a discovery of a malignancy growing in him. So he had a hospitalization from that, and lots of scans and doctor's appointments and consultations with surgeons and oncologists and everybody else, and he went in on the 10th of August, and he had a major surgery to remove his malignancies. He was in the hospital for 10 days, and during that time, my daughter came down from Portland, who was here with me. My daughter, who is a physical therapist, she came down, took a leave to come down and help with his care. And we were pretty much basically running this place on our own and going back and forth to the hospital every day. It was quite a challenge, but he is home now and he is doing great. He's going. The doctors are very optimistic about his prognosis, and of course, still a lot of doctor's appointments and scans and things in his future. But we're really happy with the results, and we're happy to have him home and have him back, and his knee works. On top of it, he has a really good knee, so it was like he's feeling good. But as a result, our garden has kind of suffered because we're gone such a long day every day, and I've been trying to keep up as I could. A lot of things, when they come in to be harvested and to be preserved or whatever we're going to do with them, they have to be handled right away. So I was trying my hardest to keep up with that so nothing went to waste. The chickens are all laying now, and we had eggs coming. We had eggs up to the top of our heads, and my daughter, who was with me, is a vegan, so she wasn't much help in that department, getting rid of the eggs. But we did our best, and one of the things we did before she left, she's gone back to Portland now, and I wanted to include a picture of that if I could. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to or not, but the three of us went down to our favorite place, one of our favorite places down in San Clemente at the pier, and we did that. We wanted Joe to be able to get down to near the ocean and so he could ground himself, so he could get himself back to center. He's been thrown off of balance with this health scares he's had, and we've been thrown off balance. We're all like sort of, trying to keep our feet steady on the ground so that we can go forward. And the beach, the ocean is the best place I know of to get yourself centered, because you have all of the elements. You have the elements of water, you have the element of earth, element, of course, the fire with the sun, and the air with the nice breezes coming off. And we were able to take him down there and have a picnic lunch, and we had a wonderful time. We didn't take him down to the water yet. He still has some open areas that are not quite healed on his body. We wanted to keep that really clean, but we were able to stay above, and that was very, very beneficial for him. I know it did wonders for all of us. Okay, so now my daughter's back, and we're here trying to do some harvesting, some more preserving, and things to catch up with things, and to take our place, things that were left unfinished. We're trying to dive in where we left off on some of the projects that we had at home. So that's what I'm doing today. I thought I would check in with you and just for a Motley Monday and show you some of the things that we're doing. One point I wanted to make with you about the garden is, I know a lot of people have had a really difficult year this year with their gardens because of the droughts. So many places, extreme high temperatures. We've been very lucky that our temperature's been just about average. We haven't had any really, really terribly hot weather yet. So our gardens are doing better than they normally would at this time of the summer. Usually by now they're pretty much fried. And we're scrambling to try to keep things alive long enough to get a good harvest out of them. Especially if we were a little lax like I was and getting things out a little late in the spring. But one thing I wanted to show you is I've had one zucchini plant that has just struggled. The plant itself is horrible looking. I'm not even going to show you the plant right now because it's not even worth really looking at. But it's been giving us a lot of these kind of deformed zucchinis. I don't know if you've ever had any of these before, but one end looks very promising, and then it just peters out before it gets to the end. And here it's the blossom end that was really small, but sometimes it's the blossom end that's small and the stem end is really small. I mean, the blossom end is fat and the stem end is small sometimes. So I didn't know what was wrong with it. It just was kind of deformed. Well, I took it in, and I had some that were even bigger than this and more deformed than this one. And I just cut it up, and it's just as delicious. It's just as delicious. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect, and that's one of the lessons we learn in the garden. Things are never perfect in a garden, especially an organic garden like mine. I don't use any pesticides or mine is completely 100% organic. And so I don't use anything, miracle grow things to make things grow faster. I don't use anything like that. So what it is what we get. And I'm just like people. We don't all have to be pretty on the outside, but we're still just as delicious inside. I think you can see on my trellis here, this is one of my cucumber vines that's ready to be torn out of here. It's done, it's spent. But the funny thing is, look at the top here. I don't know if you can see with the camera, but there are flowers. There are still flowers. It's still going to try up at the top. It's still growing to send out tendrils and to grow taller and flowers to set more fruit. The other thing I like to do with my cucumbers is down here, you might be able to see down here how they turn yellow. It's turning yellow, and that yellow maybe eventually will turn orange, and that is how we want seeds. We will save seeds from that fruit. We need the cucumber to really be way, way over eating to get a nice, really ripe fruit. Almost too rotten, almost to the fruit is almost rotten. Okay. I want you to look over here, down a little further. These cucumbers, see this? There's a lot of death in this vine. But look at the beautiful cucumbers I'm getting at the top. I'm going to have my husband reach that one. I can't even reach it. But over here I can get some. I have a nice long cucumber here on the vine that I'm going to cut off. That's a beautiful cucumber. I have another one in here. I can get a little bigger. But we don't want them to get too big, because when they get too big, they're just not good. They're not good. You might get a shot in here, Joe. There is a cucumber that is really yellow. It's a really funny shaped cucumber. That's turning yellow. You can see that one. And there, hi, look, hello, grasshopper. You want to get off my stuff? Okay. All right, while I'm in here, I want to show you some eggplant. Our eggplant is really starting to come now. We've had a lot of beautiful flowers on the eggplant, and we have some gorgeous eggplant here, and it's nice and shiny. I think that was ready to come off. Gonna harvest some. There's some in here that need to be harvested, but we had a lot of beautiful flowers, and I was worried when we got the heat that they were going to go too far, but they seem to be doing good. Okay, all right, let's go look at something else. I have a lot of leaves that are dying on here. I have been neglecting them. They should be pulled off as they die. We don't need nutrients going to dead things. But you can see in here this is a cherry. This is a black cherry tomato. One of our favorites. Look at the tomatoes on here. Can you see this? I have a cluster of so many tomatoes in here that all are ready to come off. These are beautiful little tomatoes. They're lovely little dark red. They're just delicious. I preserve these in oil in the freezer for the entire winter. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. Okay. I also have some beautiful yellow pear tomatoes. These are delicious. And I preserve them right along with the little black cherries. And I have, what else? I have a tiny Tim. I also have this little tomato out here under the pergola, this little cherry. This is the tiny Tim. This is all the bigger the plant gets. I don't know if you can see that. It's a very, very small plant, but it just has tons of tomatoes on it all the time. We're continually picking it. They're perfect for salads, but they're also perfect to preserve along with my other ones. Okay, so they're just going to keep coming and keep coming. Here is some of my heirlooms. They're growing on both sides of this trellis. This is our front trellis. Look at this beautiful tomato. Look at this beautiful, beautiful tomato. This is what I use for my, I use this for sauces. I use this for salsa. We're equal opportunity employer for tomatoes. Let's go around the other side. Look at the size of some of these tomatoes. I'm not going to pick them off right now, but just look at these beautiful tomatoes. Okay, I have different kinds in here. So do you want to tell us what kinds we have? We have...
There's Paul Robeson. There's, what is that, red brandy wine on the ends? That's what you just picked?
Yeah. We have green zebras. We have...
Yes.
Oh, we also have some...
Purple. What's purple?
Cherokee purples.
Cherokee purple.
Cherokee purples, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we just have tons and tons, and they're just, and as you can see, the plants are really healthy. They're going to continue for a really long time. Okay. While I'm here in the tomatoes, I want to take a minute and pull the flowers off my basil. Come around here. You don't want your basil to go to flower. The bees love it. Here's some bees in here. They love it. But it makes your basil kind of bitter. So, just about every day I'm out here pulling, flowers off the top and where it's starting to flower. And I just throw it back in the bed because it'll come back. But look at how much basil I have. I have so much basil. It's time for some freezer basil. I make pesto and store it in the freezer. It stores very well as long as you keep it covered with oil in the freezer, okay? Then I have all that to do. I have other tomatoes. I have a lot of paste tomatoes. I don't need to show you those, but I have Romas and Paul Robesons. I have some Kellogg's. What are those? The Kellogg's. We did them for the first time this year. Is that
Champion
Kellogg?
2.
Oh, Champion 2s. They're not Kellogg's.
Champion 2s.
Champion 2s. That's the first time we did those this year.
They look good.
They look really beautiful. I've got a whole lot of those. Okay. So anyway, I've got a lot of work. We still have a lot of the season left ahead of us. As long as the weather holds out, doesn't get too hot. So now that Joe's home, maybe we can get out here and tackle some of this harvest. Okay, moving into my kitchen. You see I have a zucchini ready to do something with. This was one of those hidden beauties that we find. But basically what I want to show you is I have been working my way through eggs. This has been a big egg season for us. Our young chicks are now laying. All of them are laying. They're working their way up, back up to size. Some of them are still kind of our normal eggs. Our normal size eggs. This is, I want to show you this. I want to show you our normal size eggs. This is from one of our old Easter eggers, and now I have I have a young chick who's laying. She's laying a difference in size. You can see the difference in the size there. This is a pretty big giant egg. This is pretty small. I think another large egg, one of my larger eggs. Generally I get about that size. Get about that size from my hens. From our older hens, the younger ones are working their way up. The eggs are getting bigger, bigger, bigger as they're getting older. We've been doing a lot to reserve them. They're laying a lot. They lay a lot more frequently than the older hens. But I have just been working so hard trying to keep up with preserving the eggs, because there's a time in the year when we don't get any eggs at all. Okay, so one thing I did, one of our favorite things to do, is I preserved eggs using a very, very old method of preservation used by George Washington, actually. It was the origin, is where eggnog actually originated, which was a method of preserving eggs in alcohol. For those of you who are interested, I was certainly interested in that. And I have 6 quarts of eggnog base in my refrigerator, which each one of those quarts represents about 3 to 4 quarts of prepared eggnog. So we're good for eggnog for this winter. And it lasts for a really long time. I also have been freezing. My husband was freezing both before he went into the hospital, and he's going to resume again a lot of our eggs in packages that we lay in the freezer for baking, for cooking, using in recipes, or eating when we have parts of the year when we have no eggs or very few eggs. But also, we eat a lot of quiche, obviously, because we have eggs. And so I was packaging some ready for quiche, along with some prepared dough that I had, that I could just get that out and whip it up real quick for a real quick dinner. Also, I have 6 quarts of pickled eggs in my refrigerator. I have different flavors. I have some with beets, pickled eggs and beets. I have some jalapeno pickled eggs, and I have some turmeric pickled eggs. So we're good for eggs. We're going to be really good for eggs this year. So thought I would share that, because that's a big part of our preservation. It's got to happen. When the eggs are laid, we got to do something with the eggs, because they just pile up. I've been trying really hard to keep up with the garden through all of this, and this is just one of my storage places for my canned goods. I just have here behind this curtain. Okay, here you can see with the curtain off my shelves. This is just representing, of course, just part of our pantry. We have a lot of other cupboards and shelves full of things. And this also is representative of things that are both this year and previous years. But I want to show you what I've done so far this year. And the major thing I've been dealing with this year so far is cucumbers. I've got cucumbers down on, actually I have 3 shelves of cucumbers. But I have done nearly 50 jars of a combination of pickles. I have dill spears here. I have, these are some of our favorites. These are bread and butter pickles, but they're sweet and spicy. I have some chilies in there from our garden. A little bit of onion. These are really good. And I also have, on the top shelf, this is dill pickle relish here in the middle. This is cucumber relish. The boxes here represent, just to give you an idea of how some years go in the garden, the boxes up here on the top on the left represent zucchini relish, which is a sweet relish that is from previous years. I mean, we're still working our way through that, but it's still delicious. But anyway, all told, also with the cucumbers, I have been making tzatziki sauce. I've been making cucumber salad. I'm freezing both of those, and I probably have eaten cucumber salad most days during the summer, later summer months. I even made some cucumber muffins in the freezer, which are kind of good. Okay, working my way through, speaking of zucchini, I have the zucchini up here in the relish, but also I've been just doing so much zucchini in the freezer this year. Of course, your bread and your zucchini balls and patties. I made some chowder, and one of my favorite additions this year is a zucchini pineapple. It's of course not pineapple at all. It is zucchini. It is shredded, but it is made to taste exactly like crushed pineapple, and it really does. I've done it for the first time. It's really easy to do. It's water bath canning, and I really love doing it. And it'll make some great pineapple cheesecake for my husband, or some pineapple upside down cake. I'm looking forward to both of those. So that's good. And then of course I'm working my way through tomatoes, and tomatoes up on the top here. The row represents some marinara sauce from this year. I still have marinara sauce from last year, and some pizza sauce I'm working through. Also some preserved tomatoes I have in the refrigerator under oil. I have some water bath preserved tomatoes in here somewhere. I'm not sure where. But also salsa. I'm doing a lot of really good, yummy salsa. This is salsa ranchera, which is this year's. It's made from the chilies and the tomatoes from our garden. It's really lovely. A lot of those chili plants were overwintered during the season from last year, and we had serranos, jalapenos, and some ancho chilies, right? What are ancho chilies? Which were so yummy. And I also did ranchero sauce this year. So lots of things still coming. It's going to keep coming. But I think we're getting to it. We're just struggling. My husband worked really hard to try to organize these shelves yesterday to try to make room for some more. He added some cardboard in here, cardboard inserts, so we could stack jars, because it's not really safe to stack a jar on the lid. But we can have it, the rims will support if you can stack on a cardboard. So he did a lot of that yesterday. As you have seen, a lot of the plants in my garden are reaching the end of their prime, and they're starting to die, and the leaves are dying. The whole plant in some cases is dying back. The fruits that it is producing are rotting and going to be only good to collect seeds from. And just that way, I wanted to say, bring out another point that I think is kind of relevant in this video, that all of you know, I think all of you know by now, at least most of you know, that according to my birth chart, this is my tower year. This is my year of the tarot card that represents my year is the tower. And that is a card that is very feared by most people that read tarot, because it means something is going to come to take. Dogs went crazy there for a minute. According to my birth chart, this is the year that is represented by the tarot card in the journey of the Fool makes through the major arcana. That might be interesting to you or not, it doesn't really matter, but what it means to me personally is this year is representative of something that is really coming to an end, something big that is coming to an end. And I thought at the beginning of the year I knew what that was, and as the year progressed and my husband's illness came in to be factored in, I kind of rethought a little bit. I kind of thought, as the year progressed and my husband's illness came to light, I kind of saw maybe my tower even in a bigger light, like it was bigger than I thought, I anticipated. And I'm encouraged because I see that I think it's starting to wind down. Just like my garden is starting to wind down in the summer season, I think my tower year is starting to wind down. And I'm going to talk to you about that for just a few minutes. For those of you who might not be familiar with the tarot deck, or the Rider-Waite tarot deck specifically, this card is the tower. It is part of the major arcana in the deck, and it is representative of the major arcana. It is representative of life events that the Fool takes on a journey through the deck, learning some kind of a karmic lesson as he goes. And this card is my card for the year based on my birth chart. And here you can see a tower made, presumably very strong tower made of stone, it looks like in this picture, and a bolt of lightning coming from the sky, striking the tower, and fire ensuing, and to the point where people are falling from the tower to the ground, supposedly to their demise. It is a card which represents some major part of your life, my life, that is coming to a major end. And as a result of not the strong tower that we were in, it was probably because the ground underneath it was not as strong and sure as we thought it was. Building false hopes on shaky ground is never a good idea, and that is perhaps what has happened here. Something is coming to an end. It is final. It is not going to be the same after this, but it doesn't mean the end of all things. It means the end of something. Something that maybe it was a false lifestyle. Maybe it was, just something that it cannot go on the way it is. It can only last so long, and it was time to end. And of course, I thought I knew what it was, and then with my husband's illness, it became maybe something else. So this is a very traumatic card in my year. It represents a very traumatic part of my year. but it did not stand alone because something came before it in the journey. And we see that card coming before it in the journey chronologically was the card that I had last year, which was the Devil card. And the Devil card, you can see these poor souls chained to the devil, to this beast, but they're not chained tightly. They can move if they wish, but the idea is that we get so used to being being tied to something, or we get used to our ways, we get used to our habits, and we just don't want to change. We don't want to let go of those habits, even if they're not good for us. And we can only do that for so long, and then it's going to come crashing down. And this sometimes is addiction, sometimes it's problems in a relationship that we keep overlooking, maybe it's health problems, maybe it's money problems that we keep, overextending ourselves. It could be a lot of things, but whatever it is, it's going to lead up to the Tower card eventually, and something is going to come to an absolute end. And that's what has happened here in my birth chart. Now, is this the end of all things? Is the Tower the very end of it? It sounds like a horrible thing. It sounds like a horrible year, but the journey continues. The journey never ends in the tarot. It continues. We've gone through a lot of fool's journey in my lifetime. I'm 70 years old. And what is going to come to the end of this journey for me, coming after the Tower card, is another card. Chronologically, we proceed, and next year will be my year, marked by the card, the Star. And the star is all about the light at the end of the tunnel. And we can see that big star in the sky. It's beautiful. This is about getting another grip on the ground. The ground has defeated me and my tower, and it has fallen. But here we see 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the land. We see the star in the sky signifying hope. It's something that's going to come. And there's going to be something new. We're going to get ourselves back into sync. It's not going to be the same. We're not going to go backwards. We're going to go forwards. When you go through a tunnel, you go through a long journey in the darkness, and you eventually see that light at the end growing larger, larger, larger as you emerge on the other side. We don't always know what's on the other side, but we know it is something that is going to be much better than where we are now, something we're going to go further. It is hope that we aspire to, and I cannot wait. I have to tell you, I cannot wait for next year and to get my feet in balance and my footing on my ground better in balance than as we see in this card. So that's going to be a really, really excellent thing for me, and I'm really excited about that. I can't wait for it to end. And this is what's coming down. I can start to feel the end of it. Starting to feel the end of it. We're transitioning to a part where hope is going to come back into my life.
One.
So there you have it. I have a lot to do in front of me. We learned so many lessons through our gardens. If you have a garden, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm happy to share my adventure with those of you who are interested. And again, I apologize for not being here, but I am back. And I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of happy things in my life with you all from this point forward. Okay, so as always, I am Rebecca. Thank you for watching. I wish you blessings, and please stay tuned.